very important win in the context of the season. How do you think it went? I thought the second half was a lot more, a far better performance than the first.
When you ask me, are you going to tell me?
Well, do you agree with that? Do you disagree?
I'll give you my opinion if you want.
That would be lovely.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I thought first half was disappointing from us. You know, I think that there's a couple of bits in there. I think that I chose not to go with a second striker, which we've done in recent weeks. It didn't work. You know, we couldn't really get the ball up the pitch. We didn't play forward enough, and our press wasn't quite right. You know, Middlesbrough are a good side, so that's the first thing I do want to say. You know, they don't make it easy for you. They risk the ball, and if you don't get it quite right, they can make you look quite silly. So that's the first thing. So they deserve credit for that. What I do think is, I think in the first half they were better. I didn't think there was loads of chances in the game. I think Whittaker rolled in his left foot, had a shot, Lucas saved it. I think there's only one really off my mind that I thought was a reasonable chance in the game. We had very, very little. I think Tristan Kramer had a header for the first set play in the game, which he should probably do better with. And that was basically our highlight reel in the first half. So that was disappointing. And then basically half time was about changing how we were going to press. But more importantly, putting a second player at the top end of the pitch to try and keep the ball alive. You know, and the discussion with the players was, we're delighted it's 0-0 at half time. Not that they had loads of chances, but they were better, and I accept that. So the first part in terms of how we set up, that's naturally on me, as it always is. We didn't get it quite right first half, so then we had to try and fix it. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to go and win the game and you're going to go and play better, because Middlesbrough again are a really good side. What it did do immediately, but is it got us higher up the pitch. We turned a few balls down with the two strikers, we kept it alive, we got a corner. I think George Honeyman has a chance right at the start, and Kate makes a great save. There's a throw in that bounces it back stick, we get a header, again they make a save, they get a few blocks in, we get good territory up the pitch. And it's interesting, so sometimes with games, the problem in the first half was the press in terms of it not working and leaving Johnny House on the ball, who's a brilliant player. You know, I had John and I said to him there, I says I had to change it and go on the other side second half. But what actually fixed the game was putting two centre forwards up for us, because we couldn't get the ball up the pitch. Every time we looked forward, we then circulated back, and that's not when we're at our best. So from that perspective, that fixed it and helped us, and it gave us an opportunity. What I will say is, I think everybody could see even fairly on in the first half how much this week took its toll on our players in terms of physically. We've got a really, really small squad at the moment, trying to get through it. Femi Aziz shouldn't have been on the bench. Camille was due to get 15 minutes today. They lads really shouldn't have been on the bench. They've trained for about 3 days. But we're at a stage of season where it's needs must. And unfortunately for Camille, he pulls his hamstring, and I feel bad about that because that's partly my fault, because he shouldn't have been on as early he came on. However, he scores the winning goal. And it's sort of bittersweet for him. Like I say, it's disappointing for me because I've got a player injured. However, it could potentially be, if this season turns out to be a successful one for us, it could be the most crucial goal that anybody scores for Millwall in a number of years. Now, I know there's a huge amount of work to do, there's a huge amount of games left, and we've got to lose the next couple, it could all end. But what we have done with this week is we've given ourselves an opportunity where we can go and try and battle for the next remaining games and see what takes us.
Well, and that goal you mentioned there was it came from a beautiful bit of work in midfield to get past and then find Femi. It was a really well taken finish, wasn't it?
Yeah, listen, we played better, we carried more of the threat, our press was better, everything about us was better second half. So we understand that, that's not lost on anybody. And we do understand as well that Lucas was required to make an unbelievable save at the end. And the lad cuts inside, and I thought it was a goal, and Lucas manages to save us. But what I will give this group more than anything else, we've got grit. You know, we have got grit. We'll fight, we'll bite, we'll do whatever it takes to give ourselves an opportunity to try and win a game of football. And as a coach, it's unbelievably refreshing to have in your group, and you know that they're going to give you everything they've got. And we might not always be successful and win, but every single part they've got in their body gets left on the pitch. And I think you can see the appreciation for the fans. So from my perspective, I'm extremely proud of the team today. I'm proud of the fans getting behind them as well in the second half, because the first half was a tough one for us, and together we managed to get the result we wanted. And we will play better than that, but today's all about winning.
And it's your job as well, though, is to stop when you need to make changes and need to make the tweak. And it's not just what you did at half time, it's that triple change as well that I felt was quite a good turning point for you. It seemed to just give that extra bit of momentum, do you think?
Yeah, I think at that stage, because we've got two up front, what I wanted to do was make one change initially and see if we could keep the ball up there. I thought immediately, I went, oh, that's helped us. We keep the ball at the high end of the pitch. Now what we need off the sides is when it gets kept there, when it comes back, we need to find players that are going to go beat people, supply crosses, like commit people, eliminate players, give us good energy at the top end of the pitch. And I thought the two lads brought that for us, even though they're not fit. But I thought they brought what we needed at that point in time. But yeah, what I will say is tactics and strategy and all that stuff is only part of it. Players win the games. Do you know what I mean? Because see if I've got players that don't have any heart, and don't have any bottle, and don't have any grit, tactics don't matter. And today they had all of that.
I think that's also backed up by the amount of bodies that seem to be thrown in front of the ball in that second half. That commitment to get another clean sheet, you obviously will be very proud of that as well.
Absolutely. You know, and like I say, when we needed Lucas, he made a vital save. But the amount of bodies, like Billy Mitchell was dead. But the problem I had was Camille just went down, so it was my last change. So that 3 sub that I did, and then obviously I changed at half time, brought another striker on. I knew I had one left, and if I'm being honest, I wasn't planning on bringing the right back on. Do you know what I mean? So it was probably been in the middle of the pitch, and Billy was my next one, so probably Ryan Lintle. And then obviously Camille goes down, and at that stage I'm looking at Bill, and he came over and I went, "Oh, you're going to have to play the rest of the game." So, and you could see, I could see him looking in my eyes, like sort of part of his body died at that point, but he managed to get through it for us.
You said hamstring was the
Camille?
Yeah. Does that mean that was it bad enough that he possibly not in contention now for Friday, or we just have to wait and see?
Camille won't make the rest of the season, in my opinion.
I mean, it's fair to say you've kind of gone under the radar a bit. I mean, it might change now. How much does that help the players' mindset, the mentality that, you know, there's nothing really for them to lose in terms of where they're forced their way into the picture?
I think that's been the mindset from the get-go though. You know, it's the fact that we want to play with no fear, we want to get a bit of goal, and like, there's nothing to be scared of. The worst thing that can happen is you don't play well and you lose a game. It happens. I mean, I've been there as a player, I've been there as a coach, and I think for us, we've only got something to gain, and that's how we approach every game. You know, and even like Watford, where we didn't play well first half, we won the second half. Today we didn't play well first half, we won the second half. My job and the players' jobs is to make sure that that's not a consistent thing, that we don't play well and we don't win. You know, we want to make sure that even if we don't play well, we still somehow try and find a way to get ourselves a result out of the match. And I think that's what the best teams do. They don't have to play brilliantly every week to win a game.
How much your own experience of playoff chase helped, and with some much Hamilton as well? I mean,
yeah, I just think as I'm getting sort of older and more experienced as a manager, I just think I've came across these scenarios so many times before, understanding when to make a change, understanding when to go after the players, when to start calming down. Because people would probably think that I went in and started shouting and bawling at them. What I went in and think, lads, we should be buzzing, because right now it's 0-0. What we've got is 45 minutes to try and fix the game. So nobody gets shouted at, because partly it was my fault. So if anything, I'd have shouted at myself. So yeah, for that perspective, we win and lose as a team. Don't get me wrong, if I feel that there's a lack of effort, then I won't be sort of shy and let them know. But for this group, that would be a very rare day that would happen.
Alex, I'm sure you've got enough faith in your own ability, but it's fair to say when you came in, the club wasn't in the best of positions. Can you believe yourself how far you've come in a short space of time?
I think that's a fair question. Probably not, if I'm honest. You know, and it wasn't because the club was in bad shape. It's just uncertainty. If you look at any club that's got uncertainty, whether it be in the head coach role, whether it be in terms of what the strategy is, in terms of any of that, it can turn a good environment into a difficult environment really, really quickly. You know, but I think what I've tried to do is be really clear with the players in terms of what I want from them. Be really clear with the strategy that we've got as a club going forward. I'm completely aligned with the owner and the sport director and all that sort of stuff. And there is nobody that's not aligned with what we're trying to do and how we're trying to do it. And I hope and I think that the fans are buying into that. Obviously, they'll naturally react more off of what they see on the pitch. So it could be brilliant off the pitch and we don't win. The fans are not going to be happy. That's just reality of football. But when it's aligned as it is at the moment, it's a nice feeling, yeah.
And obviously, I have to ask you this: what do you feel about the chances of actually getting into the playoff places? 2 points off, it's not a huge gap, it's one win. If other results go your way.
Absolutely, but I think what we do need to do is pay reference to some of the games we've got left as well. You know, we've got really tough matches coming up. This week's been really tough and we've managed to get 9 points, but we've got some real tough ones. So yeah, I still believe, of course, we've got a chance. That's the whole effort that we put in the day. I'm not going to risk lads who have just come back for 2 days if I didn't feel I had an opportunity to be successful. You know, I did it because I'm thinking it's needs must now. Next week's no good. You know, we need to win this game to give ourselves a chance going forward. So I always believe, and I always will, and I think that's a competitiveness in you. You'll always think you've got a shot.
He obviously wasn't there today, Alex, but can I just ask you one on Josh? What you feel he's given you, and how kind of important he could be for you between now and the end of the season?
I think it was hugely important. You know, I think Sheffield United played an unbelievable performance, and what I've been really big on getting into him in terms of his physicality, his use, and his physical presence. I thought Sheffield United, you know, when Chris Wilder's moaning at me that he's beating up Robinson, I'm buzzing, you know, because that doesn't happen very often. You know, Chris normally likes a bit of wrestle for wrestle, but I thought Josh beat him up really, you know what I mean? And that's what he's in our team to do, is make sure he's a physical presence, he's got really good feet for a big guy, can score a goal, he's good in the air, he's got a lot to his game, he just needs time, you know. Meek is the same, and here we believe in the two of them, and two of them get the time that's necessary.
And I know, I think you've been on the record before saying if there's any chance you like to longer term.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't think that's any secret for Josh or for anybody else. I think he really enjoys it here, and I think, well, you'll certainly know if I've done it in Sunderland actually, but I very rarely play two up front. It's never been my shape as a coach, but although it might make us a little bit looser in the middle, but your goal threat goes up by ×5, it outweighs itself. I did it at Sunderland because I had Ellis Sims and Ross Stewart, an absolute goal threat. So my job as a coach is like the whole philosophy crap that I hear all the time about how people play. Your job as a coach is to get the best players on the pitch and come up with a system that suits them. And I believe that's what I'm trying to do with these lads, and at the moment, it's working.
It was a great atmosphere today. How much of a role do you think the fans played and can play in helping get the team over the line towards the end of the season?
Yeah, I think our fans affect our team probably as much as anywhere. You know, I think obviously as opposed to that at Sunderland as well, very, very similar. And I think when they're behind the lads find an extra 5%, they find an extra 5 yards that they need to bust, get the other down the line with the ball. I thought our fans in the second half, the minute we gave them something to shout about, because let's be honest, there was very little in the first half, so I could understand the frustration. But in the second half, when we do turn it, we get a corner, we get a chance, and we don't even need to be brilliant, just a little bit of fight, a bit of momentum, we get right behind them. And at the end, where you could see the lads were dead on their feet, I thought in terms of how they backed them was brilliant, and that really did help us get the result we needed.
Brilliant, thank you.
Cool. Cheers guys.
Cheers.
Thanks,
Alex.
Alex.
Good luck, Alex. Nice to see you.
Yeah.